The moment my wife looked me in the eyes and laughed, "You were never enough for me," something inside me went silent. It wasn't anger. It wasn't heartbreak. It was a terrifying calm that comes when every illusion finally shatters. She walked out of our house with a smug smile, carrying 2 suitcases and the confidence of someone convinced she had already won. Standing beside her was a man she'd been seeing behind my back for months, flashing a grin that made him believe he'd stolen someone else's life. Neither of them noticed that I didn't argue, didn't beg, and didn't even raise my voice. I simply watched them leave, knowing the truth had a strange way of catching people who believed they were untouchable. Emily and I had been married for 8 years. We built a comfortable life together, or at least I thought we had. I worked long hours running a financial consulting business, while she managed an online fashion store. We weren't rich, but we never struggled. The late-night meetings, mysterious phone calls, and weekend business trips slowly became normal, though every instinct told me something was wrong. Friends hinted that she had changed, yet I refused to believe the woman I loved could betray me. Trust has a dangerous habit of blinding people, and mine kept me from seeing what had been happening right in front of me until it was almost too late. Everything changed during a company charity gala. Emily introduced me to a man named Ryan, claiming he was simply an investor helping her expand the business. He shook my hand with fake confidence, smiling just a little too long. Throughout the evening, I noticed him exchanging secret glances and disappearing for whispered conversations. When I asked Emily about on the drive home, she rolled her eyes and accused me of being insecure. Instead of arguing, I apologized, even though deep inside I knew something felt terribly wrong. Looking back, that apology became the last gift I ever gave to someone who no longer deserved my loyalty. A week later, an anonymous envelope appeared in my office mailbox. Inside were printed photographs showing Emily and Ryan together at expensive restaurants, luxury hotels, and places she acclaimed were work events. There were timestamps stretching back nearly 7 months. At first, I hoped the images were fake, but the evidence was impossible to ignore. I spent the entire night reviewing bank statements, travel receipts, and security camera footage from our home. Every missing piece suddenly connected. She hadn't just betrayed my heart. She had lied about money, hidden debts, and quietly transferred thousands of dollars into accounts I had never seen before. I hired a private investigator, not because I wanted revenge, but because I wanted certainty. The report that arrived 2 weeks later was devastating. Ryan wasn't wealthy, as he claimed. He survived by charming, successful women, convincing them to fund his luxurious lifestyle, while pretending he had influential business connections. Emily believed she had found a man who could give her everything she wanted, never realizing she had become his latest target. The investigator warned me not to confront either of them yet. People reveal their true nature, he said, when they believe nobody is watching. Those words stayed with me every single day afterward. When Emily finally admitted the affair, she expected tears, shouting, and desperate promises to change. Instead, I quietly handed her divorce papers that had already been prepared. She looked genuinely shocked. Ryan laughed, wrapped an arm around her shoulders, and confidently declared that they would be happier together. I wished them both good luck before walking away without another word. As I drove home alone, I realized something remarkable had happened. For the first time in months, I could breathe freely. Losing someone who had stopped respecting me wasn't a tragedy. It was the beginning of my freedom. 3 weeks passed before the first crack appeared in their perfect fantasy. Ryan had convinced Emily to sell several valuable pieces of jewelry, claiming they were investing in an exclusive real estate project that would make them both wealthy. Instead, he spent the money on luxury vacations, expensive watches, and nights out designed to impress strangers. Emily ignored every warning sign because admitting the truth would have meant admitting she had destroyed her marriage for a lie. Meanwhile, I focused entirely on rebuilding my own life. My business expanded faster than ever, and the peace inside my home felt unfamiliar, but it was real. One rainy evening, I received an unexpected phone call from a private investigator. His voice was calm but urgent. "You should know," he said, "Ryan's entire world is collapsing." Several investors had reported him for fraud after discovering forged contracts and fake promises. The expensive lifestyle he flaunted online had been financed almost entirely by borrowed money and manipulation. Emily was now caught in the middle of multiple financial investigations because many of the transfers had passed through accounts in her name. The dream she had chosen over our marriage was turning into a nightmare, far worse than anything she had imagined. Days later, news spread through our city that Ryan had been found sitting alone outside a luxury hotel in tears after an explosive confrontation with people demanding the money he owed them. Witnesses described him as completely broken, begging for more time while admitting he had nothing left. The confident man who once laughed at me had finally met people who couldn't be manipulated with charm or empty promises. For the first time, he faced consequences that money and lies couldn't erase. Karma hadn't arrived dramatically. It had simply arrived at the exact moment he believed he was untouchable. Emily knocked on my front door 2 months after signing the divorce papers. She looked exhausted, her confidence completely gone. Without makeup or expensive clothes, she seemed like a different person. She apologized for every lie, every insult, and every decision that had destroyed our marriage. She admitted Ryan had never loved her and had used her as a source of money until there was nothing left to take. I listened quietly without interrupting. When she finished, I thanked her for finally telling the truth. But I also explained that forgiveness didn't mean returning to the past. Some bridges, once burned, can never be rebuilt. As she walked away, I closed the door feeling something I hadn't experienced in years. Complete peace. Revenge had never been my goal, and I hadn't needed to destroy anyone. The truth had done that on its own. Ryan lost his reputation, his wealth, and every false friend who celebrated his success. Emily lost a marriage she once took for granted and learned that chasing appearances often comes with a painful price. As for me, I discovered that real strength isn't found in winning arguments or proving people wrong. It's found in walking away with your dignity intact, rebuilding your life, and letting time reveal who was truly standing on solid ground all along.